So let us begin from where we have ended in the last class. So I was describing how the nature of the Duke is dominant. Okay, how the nature of the Duke is being reflected through the words that he speaks. Okay, so the last line that I was dealing with was that the curtain I have drawn for you. So here drawn means opened. Okay, so first of all, he has made the painting, or he has commissioned the painting. He has ordered someone to make the painting, but he is now having the painting on the wall, or what we find, even if we are seeing that is on the wall, he is still possessive about it. Okay, why? Because he has this kind of callous gratification at the thought that he has now contained the Duchess. Okay, the Duchess is now dead. The last Duchess, the Duchess is now dead. But the containment, the way of controlling the Duchess, which he could not during her lifetime, the Duchess's lifetime, he is now doing that with the portrait. Okay, so what we find here is that this is at his command. Okay, he wants to say that I have drawn for you the curtain, I have drawn for you. By saying so, he wants to show that he is at command. He, with his command only, people can see her smile. Okay, and seemed as they would ask me. And seemed they here means the visitors, the strangers who would come and see, whom I would allow to see. They would ask me if they durst how such a smile came there. If they here means the visitors, they durst here means dared to. Okay, if they dared to ask me how the smile came on the Duchess's face, that is the face that is painted on the painted. Okay, so the Duke also emphasizes here his superiority. Okay, in the social status, in this stratified society, he is above all. Okay, he is above the visitors who are visiting him. So he wants to showcase that everyone is afraid of him. If anyone dares to ask him, they would ask the same question. And what is the question? That how that glance came there. Okay, how that passionate look got there into her face. Okay, on her face. So, not the first are you to turn and ask thus. So what does this mean? So he is now addressing, truly from the very first line, he is addressing the envoy of Count of Tyrol. And now he is saying that, so not the first are you to turn and ask thus. তাই বলছে কি, তুমি হচ্ছে প্রথম না যে তুমি হচ্ছে ঘুরে আমাকে এই কথাটা জিজ্ঞেস করছো. So what we get the semblance, what we get the feeling, or what we can imagine over here, we can imagine that this person is sitting in somewhere, as he has been asked to sit by the Duke. Okay, the envoy is sitting somewhere and the Duke is standing behind him. Okay, there is this portrait on the wall, and in front of the portrait there is a bench, or there is a chair or anything. The Duke has asked that envoy to sit over there, which has been described before, and now after seeing that, he is now turning back. The envoy is now turning back, and the Duke is saying to him, replying to him, that are you not the first are you to turn and ask thus. That is, you are not the first one to turn back and ask this. That is, ask how that glance came into the face of the portrait. Okay, or the Duchess's face in the portrait. Clear? So, interesting thing here is that we do not hear the words of the envoy. Right? The words of the envoy is not described over here. But what we get? We get to see that this person's actions speak through the words of the Duke, and that is why it is dramatic monologue. Okay, and we get to feel there is a silent listener over there. Okay, and here more description is there. Clear? Sir, it was not her husband's presence only called that spot of joy into the Duchess's cheek. So, what he is saying? He is saying that, sir, he is addressing, the Duke is addressing the envoy. Okay, he is addressing the envoy as sir, and he is saying that it is not only the presence of the husband that called that spot. Spot here means the smile. Okay, the blush. Okay, it is not the presence of the Duke, it is not just the presence of the Duke that made the blush on the Duchess's cheek. Okay, that it is not the only reason. কি বলছে যে ডিউক তার যে এনভয় এসছে এখানটায় সেই এনভয়কে বলছে যে এই যে পেইন্টিংটা হচ্ছিল, পেইন্টিংটা তো লাইভ হয়, সেই পেইন্টিংটার সময় হচ্ছে ডাচেস বসেছিল, তাকে দেখে দেখে পেইন্ট করছিল ফ্রা প্যান্ডলফ. ওকে, Fra Pandolf was seeing the Duchess live and painting that. Right? So, he is saying, the Duke, who is the husband, he is saying that this blush, this smile on the cheeks of the Duchess, which is described in the painting, which is reflected in the painting, is not just because of the presence of the husband. So what we gain from this? We gain from this that this person who is he is so focused on describing the cheeks. He is so focused on describing the nature of the Duchess that he is not allowing himself the credit. Okay, perhaps Fra Pandolf chanced to say her mantle laps over her lady's wrist too much. So, he is a kind of a person who is a bit susceptible. Okay, he suspects some of the things and he does so. Okay, he is saying that the wife, the Duchess, did not smile not only because of him. It may be the reason that Fra Pandolf said something. Okay, what he might have said, and he is guessing, this person, Duke, is guessing that her mantle laps over her lady's wrist too much. Her mantle here means the clock. Okay, the clock laps over her lady's wrist too much. Laps here means covers. Okay, so what he says? He says that the painter Fra Pandolf might have said that this clock of the lady is covering too much of her skin. Okay, and that is why, and that might have made the Duchess smile. Okay, that might have made the Duchess blush. So what we find here is that Duke's character is coming out. He is a person who is insecure, right? He is a person who constantly focuses on what others do. Or Paint must have never hoped to reproduce the faint half-flash that dies along her throat. Okay, so first of all, what he says, the Duke says that the mantle, which means the clock, he says that Fra Pandolf might have said that the clock, the mantle, that is covering too much, and that might have made the Duchess smile, okay, or the Duchess blush. Clear? So what we find here is that this Duke is very much possessive, is extremely possessive about his wife, and what we get to see here is that he is suspicious also. Okay, and he says that the painter might have said something like this, that the clock might be covering something, covering too much, and that might have made the lady, that is the Duke's wife, the Duchess, smile, okay, or blush. And he is also saying that, or paint must never hope to reproduce the faint half-flash that dies along the throat. Okay, here paint means the painter. Okay, if the painter had not said so, he would never have been able to reproduce the faintest smile or the faintest half flash. Half flash here means light blush. The light blush which is present in her cheeks. If he had not said so, then he would not have been able to develop, he would not have been able to develop the half flash which is there on her cheeks, which actually dies along her throat, which does not go to her throat. ঠিক আছে, তার গলা পর্যন্ত তার হাসিটা নামছে না। Okay, so the painter expresses his inability to paint the light blush of a throat that vanishes easily. Okay, why does it vanish? There might be the possibility, it might be because of the presence of the what can you say, the husband also. Okay, though it is not said anywhere, but what we find, it might be so. Okay, so such stuff was courtesy, she thought, and cause enough for calling up the spot of joy. Such stuff means such remarks. Okay, such remarks were the reason she thought was and cause enough for calling up that spot of joy. Okay, spot of joy here means the smile, the blush. Okay, so what he says, what the Duke says, the Duke says that such stuffs, such remarks which were given to her, was the reason, courtesy here means reason, was the reason behind her spot of joy, behind her blush. Okay, so Duke, who is a possessive person, সে কি বলছে, সে বলছে যে এই যে ব্লাশটা তার মুখে দেখা যাচ্ছে, তার চিক্সে দেখা যাচ্ছে, এটার রিজন আর কিছুই না। এটার রিজন কি? এটার রিজন হচ্ছে এই সমস্ত যে কমপ্লিমেন্টসগুলো দেওয়া হচ্ছে, এই যে রিমার্কসগুলো তার জন্য দেওয়া হচ্ছে, সেইটাই হচ্ছে রিজন তার স্পট অফ জয়ের জন্য, তার স্মাইলের জন্য। ওকে, তাছাড়া আর কিছুই না। And what we find here is that this is the reason, this is the way Duke sees the Duchess. Okay, he does not trust her, or better to say, he did not trust her. Okay, and what we find here is that in the next section, what we will see that the Duke is actually taking a dig at her character. Okay, next, let's move on. Line number 21. She had a heart ... How shall I say? So whenever there is this dot, it showcases, or it shows, or it focuses what? It shows the silence, or it shows the pause. Okay, the pause in speaking. আমি এটা বলে ঠিক আছে এরকম করে, what he is actually trying to say here is that, or what he is actually trying to present here is that he is minding his words. Okay, in front of the envoy, he is choosing his words carefully. Okay, so he was going to say something. She had a heart বলে এরকম হয়তো কিছু বলতে যাচ্ছিল, যে she had a heart, there is this possibility that he was trying to say, he had a heart for all. Okay, but what he did, he stopped in the midway. Okay, he stopped in the midway in order to record her dialogue, or in order to record what he is saying. Why? Because he does not want to showcase his true feelings in front of the envoy. Okay, what he says? He says that, how shall I say? Okay, so he is taking time, he is minding his words, he is chewing his words properly before spitting it out. Okay, সে নিজের ওয়ার্ডস গুলোকে বারবার ভেবে বলার চেষ্টা করছে. And also what we find here is that this gives a dramatic effect. Okay, this gives a dramatic effect in the real sense that a person not always clearly and fluently speaks. Not always he is so fluent enough to speak whatever is in his mind. Okay, he speaks slowly and slowly. Okay, so what Duke says, she had a heart, how shall I say? Again pause. Too soon glad, too easily impressed. So he is now taking a dig. Okay, the Duke is taking a dig at her wife, at his own wife. Okay, for she had no sense of her dignity, of her status. Okay, so what we find here is that he is accusing the Duchess, the late Duchess, is accusing the Duchess that this person, this Duchess, is easily impressed. Okay, she could be easily impressed by anyone else. Anyone who would speak some good words for her, anyone who would speak certain words of appreciation for her, she would be impressed by that, or she would be glad by the words that are spoken to her. So what we get? We get that the Duchess is an innocent person. Okay, Duchessের মধ্যে প্যাচগুলো নেই, she is not complex, right? Whereas on the other hand, the Duke's mentality is a lot complex one. Okay, and what we get to see, this easily impressionable person these easily impressionable characteristics of the Duchess is not liked by the Duke. ঠিক আছে, তাই তো কমপ্লেন করছে, সে কি বলছে? সে বলছে যে সে হচ্ছে তার হৃদয়টা এতই বড়, her heart is so big, or her heart was so big that it was easily happy. Okay, anyone could impress her easily, but actually he is not trying to say that the Duchess is really good, but it is out of his jealousy, it is out of his, what can you say, the possessiveness that happens, that is there within him. He is saying that, okay, anyone could impress her. Clear? She liked whatever she looked on. Okay, so she liked whatever she looked on. She liked everything equally. Okay, she liked everything that she looked at. এরকম কোনো নেই যে she would judge a single thing. She would judge every single thing and decide whether it has to be liked or not. Okay, she is so simple. She is so what can you say, simple is the right word. She is not a person who would judge one or judge a thing. She is so simple that she would like whatever she looks at. Okay, and her looks went everywhere. And what he says that her looks goes everywhere. And when you are analyzing this from an innocent point of view, you will get to feel that he is saying that as she is a duchess, she looks after everyone, or she looks at everything. But when you are seeing from the point of view of the duke, the jealous duke, the possessive duke, you will get to see, or you will get to find the real meaning. And what is it? The meaning is, he is hinting his wife had no sense of discrimination. And by no sense of discrimination, I mean that she is into describing everything. She is into getting hold of everything. Okay, she ki she hoche she looks, her looks went everywhere. মানে সে সমস্ত কিছুকে দেখতো, as in তার চরিত্র খারাপ ছিল, as in she is characterless. Okay, she has eyes for everything. Okay, though it is not true. Okay, though it is not true, the Duchess is not characterless, but it is the mindset of the Duke who is thinking in such way. Okay, what we find here is that very important line, you have heard also, beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. Okay, কি কোন জিনিসটা সুন্দর সেটা কে দেখছে, যে দেখছে তার উপর নির্ভর করছে। ঠিক আছে, সৌন্দর্যটা যে দেখছে তার চোখের উপর নির্ভর করছে। Similarly, what we find here is that it depends on how the Duke is looking at the Duchess. তার উপর ডিপেন্ড করছে যে সে কি দেখতে পাচ্ছে। Clear? What she is an innocent flower who has no sense of dignified status. Okay, so what we find here is that the Duke is hinting that she had no sense of discrimination. She would look on everyone equally. And this is emphasized again. How? Sir, it was all one. What does that mean? He is saying to the envoy that, sir, it was all one. That means everything or everyone was of equal value for her. Okay, and here we get to find the complaint or the problem that the Duke had. or the psychological problem that Duke had. Duke is a person who gives self-importance to him. Okay, because of the position that he holds, because of the social status, he wants to be treated significantly, and rightly so. Any woman, a wife, should always treat her husband above all. Okay, he should get special attention. But the complaint of the Duke is that she looked at everyone equally. So you might question whether the Duke is right in questioning the nature of the Duchess, that there might be a possibility that the Duchess was not careful enough, not focusing on the Duke, and that might have caused this resentment. But if you want my advice, if you want my explanation, or most people's explanation, you will get to see that that is the nature of the Duchess. Okay, and the Duchess was really young. She was hardly 18, if we believe the real story on which this poem is written. She was very young, and she did not have that maturity to understand the complexity of any relationship, especially husband and wife relationship. Okay, so she was impressed by everyone. She was looking after anyone. She was looking at everyone. Okay, so, and the Duke, being so aged, not so aged, he was an aged person, and because of that, the complexity, the maturity comes up, right? And that's why this mismatch is happening. This mismatch of looking at the same thing differently is happening, where the Duchess is looking at a particular thing from an innocent point of view, whereas the Duke is looking at the same thing from a promiscuous point of view. Okay, he wants to say, or he wants to give a hint that the Duchess was not devoted to her husband. Okay, that is what is being presented over here. So it was all one. It was here means everything and everyone was of equal value for her. My favor at her breast, the dropping of the daylight in the west, the bow of cherries some officious fool broke in the orchard, for her the white mule she rode with round the terrace. All and each would draw from her alike the approving speech, or blush at least. So what he is saying? He is saying that the Duchess treated everything equally. What are the things he is naming? He is naming that my favor at her breast. My favor here means the costly necklace or the costly ornament that I gave to her, that she is wearing, which is coming down to her breast, the necklace that she is wearing, or the pendant you might say. Okay, favor here means any ornament or any gift that he has given, preferably a necklace or a pendant which is hanging close to her breast. That is of equal importance in comparison to the dropping of the daylight in the west. Okay, sunset jeta hocche, the sunset, the light of the sunset is equally important to the pendant that her husband has given her. Okay, so rag hobe na keno? বাট সেই দিক দিয়ে দেখতে গেলে রাগ তো হওয়ারই কথা। একটা masochistic মানের জন্য। Okay, a person who is so self-engrossed, who is so focused on the materialistic needs, who is so engrossed with his social status, he will obviously take this as an offense. Okay, সেটাকে একটা অপমান বলেই হচ্ছে ধরবে, right? But for a person who has simpler likings, who has simple way of dealing with things, it depends on person what she will like. তার কাছে equally ভালো লাগতেই পারে সূর্যের অস্ত যাওয়া। A person can equally like an ornament or a sunset, right? But what I find here is that Duke cannot understand that. The Duke is so focused or self-engrossed within his own importance, or the social importance that has been within him, that is with him, he is taking offense. Okay, যে কি আরো কি কি সাথে তুলনা করছে, আমি যে গিফটটা দিয়েছি, the gift that I have given her, that is of equal importance in comparison to what? In comparison to the sunset in the west, the light of the sunset in the west. And it is also equally important to what? It is equally important to the bow of cherries. Bow of cherries here means the branches of cherries that some officious fool, okay, that some officious fool mean fool who is ever ready to pay unexpected service. Okay, so any fool who is ready to pay unexpected service, who has offered her a branch of cherries broken from the orchard. বাগান থেকে একটা চেরির ডাল ভেঙে এনে তাকে দিলেও সে সেটাতেও হচ্ছে খুশি, সে সেটাতে ইকুয়ালি হচ্ছে খুশি, তাতে হাজবেন্ডের রাগ হবে না কেন? Okay, so what we get to see here is that the ornament, the value of the ornament, the value of the sunset, the ray of the sunset, the value of a branch of cherry, not bought, rather broken from the orchard, বাগান থেকে ভেঙে আনা হয়েছে, by an officious fool, by a fool who would actually try to impress everyone. ঠিক আছে, সেই জিনিসটাও তার কাছে equally important. Okay, or the white mule she rode with round the terrace. The mule that she rode, that was of equal importance to the gift that the Duke has given. Okay, all and each would draw from her alike the approving speech or blush at least. Okay, so what approving speech here means? Words of appreciation. Okay, she thanked all for the petty gifts. Okay, she thanked all equally, সে সবাইকে হচ্ছে সমানভাবে হচ্ছে থ্যাঙ্কস জানাতো। এই যে বলছে অ্যাপ্রুভিং স্পিচ, she thanked all for their paltry gifts equally. Okay, and that made the husband jealous, and that is why he is complaining now. Clear? So what do we find? The complaint here comes about from the point that the Duchess would treat everything equally. She would give equal smile, she would give equal approving speech, same words of appreciation to a fool who has broken a branch of cherries from the orchard, or the sunset that is happening, she will appreciate that equally. or she would appreciate the mule that she rode equally. In comparison to what? In comparison to the gift that her husband has given her. Okay, so what we find here is that all these things gave her equal pleasure. And what I find here is that because of her age, because of the Duchess's age, she would treat everything equally. She does not have that maturity to differentiate everything according to the social status. Okay, she did not have that complexity to differentiate. She did not have that maturity, right? But the Duke, who is so engrossed within the social status, she is not able to understand. He is not able to understand the mindset of the Duchess. Okay, she Duchess's mindset টা বুঝতে পারছে না. She and he is complaining about her way of life. Right. So let's end it here today.